the time on. So you saying you don't really okay, do you not think he get a title shot or do you don't think he deserve a title shot?
I don't think he's gonna get one because it's about what the fans want to see. It's a lot of people that done got their reps up in the recent times. And one of them, if you could share that screen again back to where where you had them rankings, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people are interested in the TJ's return. You know
Look,
what I'm
look,
saying?
look, 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 look. Look at this. This is hey, hey, man. Look, the UFC know where the money at, bro.
Yeah.
Like they, the money is. I think the ideal situation for them is if TJ and Sean win. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because have you noticed for some reason the UFC seem to love TJ? Like, is it just me, man, or do you see it,
He's
or
excited.
huh?
He's excited. His popularity came up under them. You know
You
what I'm
think so?
saying? His popularity came up under UFC. They built it through there. You know, he was on Tough, doing all that other stuff. Like, we got to watch TJ grow. I didn't think TJ was all that when he started out, and now that's not the same young man I've seen. He's definitely grown and elevated, and he's confident in himself. He can move, he can bang, he can do whatever he wants to do. You know what I'm saying? So I believe in this new TJ, man. I believe I don't know how he's gonna look like after, but him going out, he was amazing. He was a dog. So we shall see. But I do think they love him though.
Now that you said that, because now that opens up interesting conversation. But give me your final prediction on Sean O'Malley and Piotr Young.
I think Piotr takes it.
How?
I think wrestling.
You think he's gonna grapple? Because
Yeah.
you got to think, bro. Stand up wise, Sean O'Malley, like he was very not like overly cautious or scared, but like even with Pedro Munoz, he wasn't super aggressive like he was against other people. Like normally he's calculated and aggressive, but man, he dialed it down against Pedro. So I can only imagine that you have to dial it down even more against Piotr. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no way you can't respect Piotr, bro. Like there's no way.
Yeah, when you're around dogs, you gotta address it accordingly.
You gotta respect it, man.
Yeah.
So I think Piotr. I think this fight could go a few ways, man. Obviously, man, a knockout could come from either direction. It could happen, man. Now, the level of competition is the strength of schedule is leaning more towards Piotr because he's been in like title situations, and Sean hasn't. But at the same time, I can see Sean knocking him out. I can see Piotr knocking him out at the same time. Piotr can fall back on that wrestling and that grappling because let me tell you something. At the round 4 and 5 of that Aljamain fight, I remember specifically saying if that was somebody else, Piotr could have submitted him. Like undoubtedly, he could have won that by submission. But Aljamain, his grappling is different, like even defensively. Now, another thing is Sean O'Malley could point fight because one thing Piotr does is give up rounds. So if he give up that first round, that means Sean only got to win one more round, but we know it ain't gonna be round 3 because that round 3 might be 10-8 for Piotr. Like, period. Like, I don't know. That might be some Saved by the Bell, and we're gonna see Sean's chin really tested here, So, but I mean, I don't know if I can pick in this fight, man. I'm hoping it's gonna be a finish. But I don't know, man. I look, I'm glad I'm not betting on this one because I just don't. I don't know.
I need a pick, man. I need to know.
All right, okay. I got to pick. You know what, man? And for the people who listen, who putting their real money on this, I just want to say that I'm throwing this pick out here. I would do this fully prepared to lose the money, and it would only be a small amount of money, like $25.
Oh wow. Okay.
But I hate losing money, bro.
I'm with you. I don't like gambling either.
I'm gonna go, and this ain't logical because my logic says Piotr. You got to go with Piotr just because he's had the bigger fights and the bigger names. But I'm gonna go with Sean just because, man, something about this kid, man, is Bro, have you ever seen somebody skip from like number 11 to potential title shot? I mean, even Alex Pereira had to, you know, he had to beat somebody,
I agree.
but I'm gonna go with Sean just
Mm,
because I want to see the excitement. And I'm gonna tell you another reason I'm going with Sean because Piotr has shown like a little bit of a low fight IQ sometimes, man. And maybe it was just against Aljamain. I don't know. But, the knee thing, that was odd. That was very weird. You lost an unnecessary fight for no reason. And then the
mm,
second fight, you could argue that he won, but at the same time, again, he still gave up early rounds. And it's like he did it on purpose. And that's why I'm going to pick against Piotr because
yeah.
one thing is the giving up rounds things, bro, you in the 3-round fight this time. You can't do that. So
Mm,
I'm gonna pick against Piotr just because I know he's gonna be 0-1 going into round two, which
yeah.
again, round 2 and 3 might be a 10-8 for Piotr. So, how that depending on how that go. So I'm gonna go with Sean, man. Hey, if he get cooked out there, then I'm not gonna be completely surprised. But hey, this is gonna be an exciting fight. Now
Yeah.
let's get into this TJ, man, because you brought up some interesting points.
Okay.
Now, TJ did lose before he got caught. We can't act like he didn't get beat by uh what weight class was Cejudo? Well, Cejudo was flyweight, bro. And he knocked out TJ and Cejudo was clean and TJ got popped, bro. So
Yeah.
you got beat while you was on that, the secret sauce. And then you come back, after however many a year or two, whatever, layoff. And truthfully, Corey won that fight, man. Like it was more so Corey just dropping the ball, which we've seen him do that once or twice at this point. It was more so Corey making missteps with his strategy than anything TJ did good. Does that make sense? Like
Uh,
TJ did what he's supposed to do. He stayed in the fight and kept it close enough to where the judges had a tough decision to make. But a majority of people feel like Corey won it. Man, TJ didn't look the same, bro. Like, what you think?
so the Cejudo fight, I have a tough time giving TJ a strike on that because bantamweight is his division. Um, Going down to flyweight, like draining yourself, doing all of that, man. It just didn't suit well for me seeing him like that. Like when he loses, like his weight cuts are crazy. Like
You're
they
right.
are nuts. So honestly, I don't really hold that one against him. On top of that, the flyweight thing, you always like once you're doing them hard weight cuts, you are susceptible to knockouts just being so dehydrated.
Yeah.
And plus, Cejudo is Cejudo. You can't act like Cejudo ain't an Olympic champion, honestly. And one of in my top three, DJ, he got a win over DJ. And honestly, it's just hard to really put that over. And Cejudo really has a real legendary, resume. So, the Corey fight, I don't hold too much against him. He was coming off a knockout, coming off the layoff, coming off all that other stuff, and he still caught the win. I like the decision. I was cool with the decision with TJ. I thought he was showing some stuff. Honestly, I think Aljo is the perfect kind of fight for him, and I think it'll work out in his favor. I like how listen. TJ brings unpredictability. He brings a lot of aggression. He brings a love for the game. He really does like everything. I'm talking about punches, switch stance, movement, kick leg, kick body, all types of kicks from different places. He throws hands. He's moving, punching and smoothing. Like he's like all over. Like I am a big fan of like how TJ fights. I feel like he is like a true guy as far as that. I really do believe TJ is honestly though, he has kind of been his own enemy. He doesn't cut the best promos. He doesn't really talk the best. Getting popped definitely hurt him. as far as a lot of the MMA fans, I believe a lot of these dudes on steroids. I'm Nate Diaz with it.
Yeah. He just got caught. You know
He
the
just got
rules.
caught. Yeah,
Don't get caught.
correct.
You know.
Because, and I remember watching like Uriah and them always like, oh yeah, you this and that and all this other stuff. And then I always thought it was weird that Uriah waited until he was off the team to say how educated he was and all this other stuff. Like, come on, man.
And you know
Come
what's
on,
weird?
man.
Chad ended up getting caught as well. So it's
Yeah.
like these alpha male guys were kind of,
But they were going in gung ho, and then as soon as Chad got popped, because we all thought, listen, Chad looked like he was on it, like Chad looked like he was going crazy, but
yeah,
I just didn't like how they just didn't like TJ, and I don't know. But between that and TJ not knowing really how to defend himself, his fighting has done the talking. Because real honestly, you can say whatever you want, but you ain't betting against him. He's a hard dude to bet against. He brings everything to wrestling too. Like, he's that man in my eyes. I like TJ, man. So I'm picking him. I am picking him over Aljo. Get that belt back. I don't know definitively what Aljo has to beat him. Like, I like TJ's wrestling more than I like Aljo's jiu-jitsu. I like TJ's movement, leg kicks, punching more than I like Aljo's stand-up. I like Aljo as a person more than I like TJ, but I like TJ as a fighter a lot more than I like Aljo. And I will say Aljo has some heart. He's definitely always been like an underdog, even when he's like really good. I am very curious to see if we get a lower level TJ. I think it's a better chance for Aljo. But if we get any of that 2009 TJ,
and man, I think you
19,
bringing
I
up
mean, I'm sorry.
Oh no, not to cut you off. What you saying?
I was saying if we get any of that 2019 TJ, I don't know. I don't know.
I agree, man. I think it depends on a lot of this fight from TJ is which TJ shows up, man, because it's so many asterisks. I think he tore his ACL in the first round of the Corey fight. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
remember they was grappling and then his knee popped out and it was like, whoa. So I believe more than likely he was injured going into the fight, but when you hadn't fought in a year or two or however many years, you can't turn down a fight like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you know if you win, you get a title shot. So he did right by standing and showing a lot of heart. A lot about TJ personality wise is not likable, but a lot of him as a fighter is very likable and it's very much what you want to see in a fighter. It ain't too many places where he's showing weaknesses. I'm talking about like the best TJs. Man, he's put on some performances, man, that like, oh my God, man. Like even just thinking about it give you chills. You know what I'm saying? Uh Man, he's done some stuff, man, that looked like Mortal Kombat in there. I remember, man, he was doing it. That Anthony Pettis head kick. It's like that. It's like that lagging head kick. It ain't the real fast one. It's like when they set it up with the 1-2 and then they kind of blast it.
Yeah.
Like man, and they go smooth to the side with it, and it's like you don't see it coming because you thought it was the hands, and so you block it, and then when you bring your hands down, the kick is coming. It's like, oh my goodness. That right there is just a thing of beauty, man. I mean, and when he get into that groove where he get to like dipping down low and in and out, and you don't know if he gonna wrestle, you don't know if he gonna, he mixing it up with elbows and the punch. Look, man, there's a TJ, a version of TJ that shows up, man, that's like, I'm gonna say lowercase G, but it's like God tier. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like this is what you want your fighter to fight like. Because how many people can beat him? Now, again, like you said, man, there's a lot of factors, man. Cutting down all that weight to 125, that was crazy. Bro looked like Skeletor. He looked like they dug him up out of a grave or something and was holding him up on the weigh-ins or something.
Yeah.
Like he was just a skeleton. Like, so that was crazy. And but for Aljamain, man, Man, Aljo is always getting better. We know about the grappling, we know about the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu. I don't necessarily see him submitting TJ like that or whatever. If anything, unless there's something wrong with TJ that we just don't know about. And which I think I know they all injured going into it, but I think TJ got a few more injuries that we don't really know about. Aljamain, his stand-up is always getting better. The fight with Piotr, the second fight, man, just showed me how smart he was. And it just showed how he really did get lucky that Piotr did what he did that first fight. Because, man, Aljo came back in that second fight and it was completely different, man. It was completely different. It was night and day. You could even argue that he had a round or two that was 10-8 against Piotr in just pure grappling. I'm gonna go with Aljamain just because I feel like there's a little bit of nepotism. Like there's a little bit of favoritism, not nepotism. There's a little bit of favoritism with TJ getting his title shot.
Yeah.
I can see the argument, man, but I don't know, man. Maybe because of the way the division is moving around right now, some of those guys who were up there, they kind of lost recently, so you can't really get them the title shot. I get it, and so he won, so he kind of skips those guys. That makes sense.
I'm gonna be honest with you. He gets this win over TJ. It solidifies a lot for Aljo.
Yeah, Joseph said the same thing because basically he would have to be clean for this fight, right? And so basically it shows that I can be, because that'll make him a 3-time champion. And then we can at least confirm this time it will be clean. And so it basically shows, hey, I've been a champion multiple times and I did it this time clean, so you can't really hold the other one.
Oh, no. I'm talking no. I said if Aljo
my fault.
If Aljo beats TJ,
100%.
It will solidify Aljo's run as a champ.
Because people don't really respect him as a champion right now.
At all. And it'll be too big. Even with that win, I think this will be the one that they'll be like, all right, we gotta stop playing on his
team. Like we'll finally acknowledge you as a champion. Man, look, it's almost like the belt is up in the air, man. It's so funny. It feels like Charles is the champion of the lightweight, but it feels like Aljo is it feels like they fighting for the actual belt. Like it's what they call it when nobody has the belt. It's
unification or the
what they call it. Dang.
Interim.
Not
interim.
Not interim, but like when nobody holds it. Like what? Like when nobody's holding the belt, and then both of the guys are fighting so one of them can win it instead of it just being like one of them is the champion and the other one's trying to get the belt. It feels like Aljamain ain't the champion, man. The way it's being promoted and the way the fans are looking at it. But I'm gonna go with Aljamain, man. I like him, but I'm expecting a really good fight, And I feel like this fight gonna bring out the best in both of them. And whoever wins, it solidifies Aljamain as being a champion because people ain't giving him that. And it solidifies for TJ that, hey, I did it right this time, so you can't take it away from me. Yeah. And so, but I'm going for Aljo, man. He replied back to me one time on Twitter, man. So, that means a lot, bro. I'm just a regular guy. Now, man, let's get into this.
Your opinion for sale. I like it, man. Everyone said he applied to me.
Hey, man, you get that tweet, like, oh, shoot, the champ. Hey, man, now let's get in. This is crazy, man. 1+155 for the, technically the champion. I just, man, what do you think about it, man? Give me your initial thoughts on this fight, bro.
You said plus, you talking about the Charles and Islam?
Yeah, so that means if you put $100 on Charles and he won, you get an extra 155 off of that. So you walk away with 255.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I like Charles, man. I'm not Islam. I know a lot of people like hyping him or whatever, but see, I feel like you got to go through some fire.
Yes,
and I don't think he done went through no fire. Like, like a lot of his wins are, he
was supposed to win. Just say it. A lot of the people he beat, Colby, were people that he was supposed to beat. Like, let's be real. Let's go down the list of Islam's wins, and which one of these people would Charles have not submitted, or which one of these people would Charles have not beaten the exact same way, if not worse? Like, and then his
we don't
last
even
two
got to go
wins.
down the list. We can go to like his big names, like the Dan Hooker's like been on a constant decline.
And look, short notice. Notice.
I love the Hangman. I'm not I hate Bobby Green.
Oh man,
I hate Bobby Green. Bobby Green is terrible. I'm sorry. Bobby Green talk like he's supposed to be fired. He's not though. Like I just can't. I don't. Honestly, I hate going down Islam's like whole whatever because it's a long list of boring ass fighters. No offense to a lot of them fighters, but it's just boring. Like nothing stands out.
Nick Litz. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm gonna tell you this. What is impressive? There are two things that are impressive about Islam that I'm not going to deny him. One, he's able to win a lot of fights, which a lot of fighters in the UFC cannot string together nothing like this. But I'm gonna tell you the second thing is he is dispatching of these guys just the way he's supposed to, considering the fact that Bobby took the fight on short notice, Dan took the fight on short notice, Thiago Moises, he loses a lot of fights. Drew Dober, he always does good and then lose by submission. So like he's winning fights and he's winning against people he's supposed to win against. I'll give him that. But man, I'm looking at the strength of schedule here, man. There is not a single person on this list that Charles would not have absolutely dismantled. Like, let's just call it what it is. Now, if you go look over here at Charles's record, man, some of these guys up here, man, you can argue, man, I think Islam probably would win, but I don't doubt that Michael Chandler probably can beat Islam on a good night. I don't doubt that Dustin probably can beat Islam. I don't doubt that Justin Gaethje, if he shows up the way he, because I don't know, lately, man, we've been getting like an up and down Justin. But if we get that good Justin, I think all three of these guys can beat Islam.
Three. I like number 5 beating him. I also like I like Benil against him a little bit too. I like Gamrot against him. I really wish that Rafael Dos Anjos fight actually happened between them. But yeah, I don't see him as hot as a lot of people do. I like Michael Chandler. I like how Michael Chandler bang. You know what I'm saying? I would love.
He wouldn't be able to really take Michael down like that. Not in the beginning of the fight. Now, don't get me wrong.
I feel like once he couldn't do that, I feel like Michael would throw them things.
Yes.
So that right hook for Mike would be out here,
man.
So
that fight might not even, because obviously the cardio would favor Islam, but I don't think the fight will last that long because Michael Chandler don't have like drop you power. He don't have like stanky leg power. He got like lights out power. Like once he lands, it's over. There's nothing else. That's over.
I agree. Honestly, I know Khabib is I think the fans love Islam a lot more than what he's like, like worth. I feel like Khabib was going, listen, you don't got me, but you got my little brother,
Yeah.
So, I feel like he's pushing a lot of that, but until he proves himself with some real hitters, I'm gonna be honest with you. Do he got any wins over anybody in the top 10?
That's what I'm saying.
Do he got one win over anybody in the top 10?
Dan was on his way out of the top 10 and he took that fight. Bro, I think Dan took that fight on like 2 days' notice.
He only got one win against somebody in the top 15?
Colby, that's what I'm saying. And they acted, and meanwhile, Charles beat Dustin. He beat Justin. He beat Michael Chandler. It's like, bro, come on.
I don't know.
The strength of schedule is so
not a one top 10 victory and got the belt. That ain't saying Khabib's my older brother with a lot of pull. I don't know what is.
And I'm not even trying to be disrespectful with it because again, he won a bunch of fights, which a lot of people can't do, and he beating people and he making it look easy, but it's gonna look easy against the people you're beating. Like that's the point, man. Like the people you're beating, none of them are A-ranked fighters. and none of them are S-ranked fighters like no Charles. Like it's night and day. It's night and day, man. And Charles, I think Charles at this point, I honestly, I think Charles can win this fight by knockout or submission. I think he can. I think that whatever presents itself, Charles is gonna just take it, man. And truthfully, I would be surprised if this fight went more than 2 or 3 rounds, because I know people will say like, "Oh, Charles gets dropped." Well, a lot of times he's doing that so he can get them to come to the ground, and then they don't do it, and then he just kind of like pours it on at that point. The reality is Islam striking is still not really good. Like it's cool, it's straight, it gets the job done. He uses it enough to close the distance. You don't have to worry about Islam dropping you, man. Like, let's not pretend like Islam is gonna go out there and just throw hands on Charles. Like, that's not gonna happen.
I agree with you 1,000%. I don't see him. I don't know, man. I'm not sold on him. I think that's like, I don't want to say hype fights, but he's up there with the hypest of the hype. I'm not sold. I'm not sold at all. I know a lot of people love him, but
one thing. Charles made a mistake though.
What's that?
That mistake is taking this fight in Abu Dhabi. Colby, listen. If this fight goes 5 rounds and Charles don't have a 10-8 in each round, he loses the decision. They giving that belt to Islam.
You think so?
Colby, they fight in Abu Dhabi. Listen to what I'm saying.
I don't think they'd do that.
Colby, they did that against Calvin Kattar. He fought that dude Zabit. Now, they had already made it mandatory that all main events were 5 rounds. They scheduled that fight to only be 3 because Zabit's cardio, was kind of bad.
I mean, the fighters got to agree to it, though.
Yeah, but Calvin Kattar ain't gonna like turn down no fight. He's a fighter. A fighter.
But if you know the man that you fighting got weak cardio, I would push it to 5.
Man, Calvin, I don't know, man. I don't know if he was thinking, when he did that, because of course Zabit was winning at the beginning, and then as soon as you start getting into like that round 3, fight started taking a completely different turn. But guess what? It was over. The old boy was already up 2 rounds.
Yeah. 2
more rounds, Calvin would have put him away easily.
So that's why I don't believe he agreed to that. I believe he might have been paid for that decision. I believe he might have got a lot of things, but ain't no way known like Zabit is known for having that weak cardio. Would I ever
take no
agree to that? Ever.
Never. Ever. But
unless I'm telling you,
man, I honestly, I just think, I hate to say that, but this fight goes 5 rounds and it's even remotely close. They're not giving that fight to no Islam. I mean, to no Charles. If that fight goes 5 rounds and it's remotely close, I'm telling you, Charles could drop Islam 3 or 4 times around, go for submissions. If Islam could just lay on top and just hold him and get it to 25 minutes, I wouldn't doubt if they told him that. Just get it to 25 minutes. You're going to be the lightweight champion of the world. Charles needs a finish. They have screwed Charles before. They screwed him bad. They screwed him with the weight cut thing, man. So it's like, Charles got to be on his A game. He got to be.
The problem with that I don't care about, right? Because here's the thing. I don't think they're going to do Charles dirty like that. But if it is something like that, everybody knows he will never have a fight again there ever again.
What you mean?
They will never fight in Abu Dhabi again, for at least not him, or at least not when it comes to one of those guys that they favor over there. So, because if he does, let's say Islam does whatever. Coming up right after that, he got Dustin, Justin, Mike, Benil, or Gamrot, Raphael. Like
No. You know who he got next? Dana White said Volkanovski getting the title fight after he fights the winner of this fight. That's official. Which I think is an absolute nightmare. I think Charles is an absolute nightmare for Volkanovski. But Islam, I think he might have a chance because I don't think Islam can hold Volkanovski down, man. I just don't see that happening. And
I don't know if Volk is strong enough.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
Islam is kind of strong, huh? Like, I don't know, man.
That
Man,
Russian
once you
strength
grab
hit
people, man,
different.
it's like different.
That Russian strength hit different.
Yeah, it's different. But Volkanovski ain't okay. So, what's your final prediction on this fight? And then for the last little less than 10 minutes, we're gonna talk about Volkanovski versus the winner. What's your final breakdown of this fight?
I got Charles through piecing him up, stunning him, and ultimately taking the victory. Second, third, fourth. Maybe not second, third, fourth, probably. I don't know. I think if he gets enough time to get his hands on Charles, that's why we said second, third, fourth. I don't know. But I got them.
Because Islam only has one path to victory, and it starts with wrestling, which I just don't like. Why would you want to wrestle Charles? Like,
I don't know. I don't think he got the hands.
Exactly. He only had one path. And your hands, and Kobe, hands don't just get better overnight. Like Charles' hands, bro, we've literally had to watch this man get better over getting cooked. Like Max cooked him. Remember? Like he got cooked, man, with hot grease several times. And that's the only way. But see, when he got it put on him like that, the paws put on him, he kept having to get better at it. Some fights went his way, some didn't, and then he found that groove. But when Islam got knocked out, he completely shot away from striking. Like he ain't taking no chance. And Charles is throwing flying knees. He gonna go for the guillotine. Charles gonna throw the front kick waiting on you. Charles got a sneaky uppercut.
Yeah.
All the things that a wrestler don't want to be dealing with when they get down there for that takedown. Now, only thing is wrestling is not just double leg takedowns, obviously. Pressing Charles against the cage, trying to take his feet from under. Man, there's a lot of different ways.
They definitely will run you into the ground.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I do believe in, like I said, Charles got so many weapons. I believe he got the most weapons in this fight. I believe he got that dog in him. I think he got big fight potential. Also, this is a big fight for Islam. I don't think he's ever going to have the pressure on him like he's ever had like this before. You can sail through it. You can be that man. I don't know if he has it in him though, but pressure bust pipes. So, you can see if he's ready to go. But I'll say this. I say that Charles has been done dirty. He has to earn his belt back. He has to do all this other stuff. I believe if he uses those tools the right way, how only he can, I believe this is his fight to take. I like Islam's grit. I like that wrestling. I like that power. I like that dirty boxing. I like all that fighting up against the cage. I believe that's how, if Islam takes it, it's going to take it like that. Yes. If he pushes him up against that cage, he gets them takedowns. Because here's the thing about them takedowns, man. You got a strong dude on top of you like Islam is. Ooh, it takes that energy out of you. So all of those good tools, you start losing the knees. You ain't throwing your leg up like you once was. You ain't doing all of that dancing. So, your jiu-jitsu, because sometimes you can get on bottom and you a jiu-jitsu master, but now when you got like a gorilla on top of you, like it's hard to, they don't stop going. You know what I'm saying? Like Khabib ain't stop on Conor. He was on him like nonstop.
Oh my God, bro.
I feel like I feel like Islam has a fighting chance if he pushes him up against that cage, get him up that cage and all that other stuff. But I think that's the best way to do it. I think Charles's best chance is showing them skills quick and early, pap, pap, pap. Let that man know that he gonna have to respect you. Show him that this might be too big a light for him. Show him all that stuff very early. And if he can embark that, get in that head, get a second of doubt, against Islam by the time he does, because I feel like if it goes long, he is going to get a chance to put Charles up against that cage. But you want to have already shown him or weaken that stance or weaken that heart or do something by letting them go, letting them elbows fly, letting all that other stuff. But I probably, if I was Charles, I wouldn't even get too close to dog for real for a little bit of time.
Yeah, you're right. I'll stay, because I know the jiu-jitsu is there, but man, that wouldn't be my first. Like, I would definitely go with piecing them up first. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because if you got the advantage standing up, man, rock this man, and don't just go for the knockout. Like, rock him, piece him up, have him hurt. So when they do go for the takedowns, they're making like it's more of a survival thing instead of doing the takedown the right way. Because one thing that in Dominic Cruz and Daniel Cormier talk about this all the time. There's ways to grapple people to where like you can use your wrestling to kind of control the fight to where it's not stand up, but at the same time you're not all the way on the ground with the jiu-jitsu guy. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I'm talking about back against the cage, feet up under him. With how Khabib used to trap the legs with the legs,
trap the leg, put him on that side where it's like right up under that cage, where their body is not flat, it's like kind of sideways, like, and you just kind of mauling from that position and trap them legs up, go over one leg and just start banging, throwing all that. So where they punches don't really do nothing from the bottom. Exactly. You can't really move. Anytime you try to spin, it's taking that spin away, like that movement or that twist around by putting your back up against the cage and just pinning you there. Trouble. So that's Islam's way of getting it done. I'm gonna tell you something. Charles' thing depends on guts, accuracy, and willingness to be effective. If he don't get that off, because here's the thing, he got rounds to get that off. But if that stuff don't start being effective, that dude is gonna come a chance where one of them shots is gonna work. Not the takedown, just getting you to the cage. Yes. And I feel like once he starts scooping, it's them legs,
you're gonna get tired.
It may not be game over, but it's gonna be a long day.
Like not game over for like a finish, but like game over as far as like, you know how you can see they will get sucked away from them, because then what happens? They if they can't get up, then they only get up when the round ends, and so then they kind of drag back to the stool, and then when they get up off the stool, if the other guy can get the takedown again against the cage, then it kind of becomes like that cycle where I kind of know what to do to you. We're not gonna be all the way standing up. We're not all the way gonna be on the ground. And Charles don't need to let Islam do that. But I completely agree with your breakdown of that. Like, you really hit the nail on the head. I ain't gonna lie.
So who you got? Who you going with?
I'm going with Charles, man. And again, not counting Islam out or whatever, but the strength of competition is it's different.
Strength of competition in the light and the power to rise, all that other stuff. I believe
the fire. You really started off when you said that fire, because Islam got knocked out there one time and he just been pure grappling. And I ain't hating on him, because at the end of the day, it's your job to win. It ain't your job to box with everybody. I ain't even hating on you. Like, I love to see it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The thing is, Khabib is not going to be fighting Saturday night. It's going to be Islam. And so that, I think that's what a lot of people are getting confused, talking about Islam going to be Khabib going to be in his corner, Hasbulla going to be in the corner. Like, bro, come on, man. What did that even mean, dude?
Oh, I ain't worried about that at all.
What does that even, like, that just, come on, man. So I'm going with Charles, man. But like, hypothetically, what's the quick scenario for if either of these guys wins and faces Volkanovski? What you think happens?
I think hypothetically, Volk is going to be a problem for neither one of these guys. Honestly, I don't think so.
Goodness,
I don't think. I take that back. I think Charles might be too big for him. And I think a lot of people think it's going to be like Max and him all over again. But Charles's punches is going to be a little heavier than Max's, I think. And I don't think he's strong enough to grapple with Islam.
Man, remember Brian Ortega almost submitted you. I 100% believe Charles would have won that fight.
And he's a bigger man.
Easily.
And he's a bigger man. So,
did you see the picture of him next to Francis Ngannou?
Yeah.
Charles? Man, look, come on.
He's a bigger man. And yeah, lastly, I don't think so. I don't think for neither one. I think Charles is a bigger man. I think he takes it. And I think Islam